い。水月雑境はこれにておしまい。挽回水月ここへ行くまで。これにておしまい。
Alright guys, we're back again for yet another Bleach Brave Souls video, and it's time to tackle on my favorite game mode, Limit Break Request. We have April's Limit Break Request dropping on the 1st of April, and we're here to break it down. Unfortunately, I will not be streaming this the moment this goes live, but I will make a video or like a stream following up on the next day because I'm pretty much going to be out for the entire day, so I do apologize on my behalf, but yeah. I'll be late for when it comes to getting my run done. But anywho, if you guys don't know, Limit Break Request, this is the game mode you want to do to get yourself free 500k TP, which you can use to reroll a character's 6th slot for when you have gotten them 5-5. And you can also get yourself up to 50 orbs from this game mode. So yeah, make sure you do this, get at least 20 stages done, and you'll get all the rewards that you need to get. And yeah, this is what we have for this upcoming Limit Break Request. Slot 1 is basically going to be boosting technique characters. Now, I already made a video talking that we were either going to be getting a power character or a technique character. Well, this month, it's going to be technique, so we can easily assume that next month's Limit Break Request character, which is hopefully better than what we got this month, a power character. But we'll see how that character will be done. But yeah, here are the quest details. Slot 1, the enemies are going to be speed Arankars. In the rules, just technique damage times 2, range damage times 2, and killer effect times 5. And the status element puzzles are burn. Thankfully, this time around, they have decided to completely remove the attribute lock, so you can use any one you want outside of the technique characters. Slot 2, on the other hand, are going to be mind human enemies, and the rules are heart damage times 2, range damage times 2, and killer effect times 5. Okay, that's quite interesting to say the least. And then slot 3, speed Quincy's, with obviously no rules like always. So, yeah, we already have the premise of what to expect from this type of Limit Break Request, and we're easily going to tackle on who are the best characters for each slot. Slot 1 pretty much is designed for Rangiku, the 1000-year blower one that is going to be dropping within the next couple of days. Slot 2 is, believe it or not, Kirio, and then slot 3 is going to be for Ichibe, meaning that these two characters are going to be returning this month. And guess what that means? Next month, Ichigo, Yuha, and Orihime are finally going to be returning. If not in the month of May, then probably in the same month as the Squad Zero characters. But we'll have to wait and see for that. So, yeah. Let's just go ahead and talk about the best characters to use as a whole, and then we're going to summarize the best teams to use. This should go without saying that Rangiku is going to be the most optimal character to use for slot 1 because she is a ranged character, she has the Arankar killer, and she has all the skills to back it up. And she does come armed with pretty exceptional skills, like, it's really damn amazing. I'd argue to say that it's probably one of the best that we've seen for a tech character, even though, sadly, this character got a bad kit treatment. By that, I mean, she pretty much plays exactly like Christmas Noel. She has the 18% shave, vortex into pushback attack, and then a full screen SA3. This character, in my opinion, needed a much better SA1 to complement the fact that she had the vortex into pushback attack, because you cannot give her the 18% shave. If she had the 40% shave like Asnot, or the direct 3k length beam like Yumichika, it would have been so much better, because you pretty much have to get up close. You're not going to be doing too much damage. You're not going to be cleaving through multiple waves of mobs. It's only going to be one wave, and it's quite inconsistent. So, yeah, it's quite unfortunate, and honestly, if this character were to get the 18% shave, it would have been better if she got the 960 into a homing vortex, as that's always going to be the saving grace for whenever a character gets one bad strong attack. But yeah, there's not going to be too much enjoyment for when it comes to using this Rangiku, but she'll be able to plow through this Limit Break Request just fine because her multipliers are cracked. Because look at what she has. For starters, on the soul trait, strong attack damage inflicted at full stand 40%. So already you're going to be doing 40% more damage with your strong attacks. As you defeat the enemies kill 40 enemies, you get a 60% full stamina damage boost. And then the base 6-star abilities, she has Frenzy +2, Technique Attribute Soul Reaper damage to status summon affected enemies of +40%, and the 80% SP boost. You have yourself a crap ton of full stamina damage boost with the 80% SP boost. The only thing that sucks is not having increased status element chance. Like, she does have Devastation, Weaken Defense, but like the Soul Bomb isn't really gonna matter too much in this kind of case. And yeah, Long Stride, Strong Attack reaches time of -12%. She also doesn't have increased status element chance, but the SA2 and SA1 can actually do it, even though she does have Frenzy +2 only. But yeah, this character, easily the best character to use for slot 1. But now, let's suppose you guys do happen to skip the banner, which, by the way, I am going to be making a before you summon, before you skip kind of video, just to basically give you guys an overview of the banner, so that way I can discuss everything that there is to be said, putting aside the disappointment that I had earlier this morning and my negative opinions. If you guys wish to stay tuned for that, you better subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification, so that way you guys are updated for that. Now, let's see what we can use for technique Aranka killers that are ranged. There's literally no one. No one. Not a single unit. Nada. Now, you can use Thousand Year Blower Aizen, but he is going to be a very ridiculously slow character. You're still going to be able to plow through the enemy mobs, but you're going to be stuck always using the Nat string at all times. But this character is going to be a viable option to use because he does have Flurry +1 with 80% attack boost, increased status element chance, and you also have the gauge mechanic. So, yeah, a viable option, but not the crazy best one to use. And, yeah. Now, why don't we go ahead and sort out for technique range characters? What can we use for that? Okay, already we're talking. We have a really good solid option to use if you guys do not plan to go for Rangiku or cannot get her. Quincy Ichigo, right here. Now, his multipliers aren't as cracked as Rangiku, but he should be able to do just fine without killer, and I think this is going to be one of the few characters that can actually clear through stage 30 should you have all the best characters that are needed for this type of limit break request in particular. He does have the same 18% shave, unfortunately, but he does have a 3k length beam on that SA2, allowing him to do consistently well for when it comes to getting the damage in. But not only that, guess what? Technique Attribute Strong Attack recharge of 20%. Yeah, this guy will get his Strong Attacks back the moment you get to play as him again in his own maps, which is crazy. But anywho, the multipliers are good. Full stamina damage boost of 20%. Berserker 40%, Frenzy +2, increased status summon chance against speed attribute enemies with an additional 20% character strong attack damage, 80% SP boost, and I believe he has another full stamina damage boost somewhere. Never mind, I capped. But this guy should be quite good to use if you do not have the likes of Rangiku. Pretty strong, just the multipliers are a bit weaker. Also, you have weakening and drain on the entire kit, so should you get hit with this character, you don't even need to move to the next map. Just inflict status summons with your strong attacks, and you're good to go. So easily, Quincy Ichigo is the best alternative if you do not have Rangiku. What else can we use for slot 1? Hallibel should be a viable option, her being ranged. That being said, she doesn't have killer and will never have killer because she has Squad 0. But that being said, she does have similar multipliers to the likes of Tensa Zangetsu and the swimsuit Rangiku because she does have Frenzy +1 with 100% damage to enemies not afflicted by an ailment with a 60% Berserker. So she's going to be able to put up quite good damage numbers when it comes to using this character right here. So it's an option to use, but not the best one. And that's pretty much it for when it comes to the technique range characters. You guys can use Bambi, but I don't recommend it with that SA2 being the barrage. You're going to be lacking a lot of range. You can get hit. Not really recommended. Roka, if you guys have her, you know, maxed out, she can work, but keep in mind, she has like, what, 18% shave, only the homing vortex, and that's pretty much about it, and that's it. So, yeah, if you're looking for characters to use as alternatives that are technique and are ranged, Ichigo is the best one, and if you don't have him, then pretty much you have to use Thousand Year Blower Aizen, Hallibel, or Roka in this kind of case. Bambi can work, but you need to be really careful when it comes to using the strong attacks. But now, what about technique Arankars, but are melee? What do we have? You can use this Grimmjow, but he lacks way too much DPS. Even though he has Frenzy +2, this guy essentially has nothing. So, yeah, there's no one. No one at all. What about characters that are outside of the technique attribute that can work, that are ranged, and have Ronker killers? Now, you do not want to use power characters. So if you're thinking about using Parasol Rukia, I do not recommend using her because of the simple matter of fact that you will have attribute disadvantage, meaning that you're going to be doing a lot less damage and it's just going to slow you down by a lot. Yeah, just 7th anniversary Ichigo, but only if you have a map transcended and ready to go. But besides that, there's no one else. Literally no one for ranged or Ronker that I recommend using. So, yeah, that's it. Quincy, Ichigo, and then your other technique characters that are ranged. Finally, let us move on to slot 2. Kirio is, once again, going to be the character that K-Lab wants you to use. That being said, we already have one big problem. This character is a weaker version of Parasol Rukia. By that, I mean, she has the 18% shave as the SA1. Her SA2 is a melee strong attack. Meaning that, in the rules, yeah, you're going to be missing out on damage that you can do with that second strong attack of hers. And that's the first thing to point out. Besides the 18% shave. She doesn't have Rampage. She doesn't have the extra cooldowns when moving in between quests. And I just don't think that she's going to be all too great of a character to use, even though she is, you know, the character that they intend you to use. I do think that she's going to struggle a bit for when it comes to getting most of the stuff done. But once you inflict status summons, you at least have, like, what? Frenzy +2, an extra 40% damage to paralyzed enemies, 80% SP boost. You have Enhancer plus Booster. And, yeah, but other than that, this character, yeah, not the craziest. And there's not that many good alternatives. Like, I do not recommend using either Ulquiorra or Zalaparo because they lack the damage multipliers that Kirio have. Like, Ulquiorra just does not have enough to pretty much do enough work. Like, no Frenzy +2, no 80% SP boost, no nothing. Same thing for Zalaparo. So already I cannot recommend these two characters at all. No way in hell. And you guys want to know the BS part about all of this? These are all the human killers that we have for heart. I didn't even sort for melee or range. This is all we have, and it's already terrible. Absolutely god-awful. So what about characters that are ranged and have human killer? Thankfully, the enemies being mined actually gives us access to all the attributes. Wow. Funny enough, Quincy Ichigo will still work. However, you will not have access to the increased status element chance to use in this kind of case in particular. But besides that, that's it? Really? Balgo, I kind of don't really recommend. You're gonna be having the same problem as Quincy Ichigo in this kind of case, but he is a lot weaker than him. Oh, E-Burn. Are you serious? They want you to use the Go E-Burn? Oh my god, that is terrible. Slot 2 is easily the worst this month around for when it comes to the selection of characters to use. Okay, well, we've seen all the human killers that we have access to. But now, why don't we just go ahead and see the rest of the ranged hard characters that we can use? Because even though we do not have the best optimal setup for when it comes to ranged human killers, we can still use ranged hard characters as a whole. So let's see what do we have. Okay, we already have ourselves a pretty solid and strong option this Valentine's Day for Ruka, so that's already gonna be better to use over Kirio if you do not have her. And I can easily say that she's gonna be the best alternative. She has the same defeated enemy bonus as Rangiku and Yuha, albeit you do need to kill 50 enemies, but guess what? You're giving your team an extra 20% strong attack damage. To herself and everyone else, you get 20% more Berserker, and 20% more full stamina damage boost with the Cypherner skill, map-wide AoE skill of Inflicting Drain. You have a full stamina damage boost of 30% thanks to the Soul trait, 40% strong attack damage, Frenzy +2, 80% SP boost, and you also have long stride built into her. So if you guys have her 2-5, just give her full stam and SP. 1-5, full stam and focus. But yeah, she's gonna be the best alternative to use now. God damn, it took a while to find who was the better unit to use. Rangiku can work. Same case as Halibel though, no killer, and you do basically the same damage, so I don't even need to dive in too much on that topic, but she's a viable character to use. And that's pretty much it. You can use 6th anniversary Aizen, but his DPS is actually going to be a bit more on the low end side because he only has Frenzy +2 with 20% full stamina damage boost. Kaname, same exact scenario, but much worse than Aizen. And Noelle, she can work. She can work. That being said, you are going to be stuck with using the 18% shave for the SA1, and you do need to inflict status summons. This is literally mini 1000-year blower Yamamoto. That's all you guys need to know. And I think that's pretty much about it for slot 2. Now, if you guys have Kill Game Action Transcended, you can use him. You can use him, however, I do think that it's going to be a bit of a struggle for when it comes to getting around to doing the best optimal damage. Once you have built up the Rampage at 100%, you're going to be fine. But once you get through the harder stages, you guys will notice that it's going to be harder to kill enemy mobs. So you can use him as a last resort if need be. So yeah, there you guys go. That's all we need to state about slot 2. And lastly, slot 3, you can use anyone you want except power characters. And thankfully, power is not in a good shape right now, so we don't even need to worry about that whatsoever. And already we have ourselves a plethora of units that we can use to pretty much get this skill quest out. But obviously, the best one to use has to pretty much be Ichibei because he does have a killer. And this guy can pretty much, you know, do a crap ton of stuff. Once you activate the gauge, you basically gain Frenzy +1 and an additional Berserker value of 100%. And you already have yourself, with this character, a Long Strides, Perma +1, and has 50% SP boost, has the gauge recharge. You start with the gauge at 70%, and you have 50% strong attack damage, gauge rampage, frenzy +1, and you also have a really strong soul bomb with bombardment and weakened defense, making this character the nuker to use for this month of Limit Breaker quest, making him a really solid option to use. And you're always going to have the gauge active at all times because of the stuff that he has. Thankfully, with the fact that I got around to playing as Songdu, yeah, every time I was doing that Limit Breaker quest, I had the gauge up at 100% of the time. With Ichibei, it's going to be the same thing, so you don't even have to worry about this character. But now, should you guys not happen to have Ichibei, this True Shikai Ichigo, funny enough, will be very effective because, okay, he doesn't have killer, but guess what? The enemies are Quincy's, and you still get access to the increased status summon chance against Soul Reapers and Quincy's. And it doesn't matter the type of attribute that the enemies are. You're still going to be able to do a crap ton of damage, and you'll also get the extra damage to weaken enemies and lacerated enemies. On top of having a really crazy good kit, and of course, well, 80% SP boost. And he's also a crazy good nuking character to use as a whole. Yuha Baha is forever going to be good for Limit Breaker quest as a whole, so this character is going to be one of the better options to use. More so for the matter of fact that he has double soul bombs once you have killed all of the 80 enemies, and his nuke is no joke too because he does gain an additional devastation of 60%, and you also have weakened defense with basically a total of 120% devastation. It's cracked. And you also have yourself a Godly kit with Frenzy +2, 80% SP boost, has the same skill as Quincy Ichigo, so this character is going to be really good to use. If you guys have a Max Transcended, I definitely recommend using him. And once again, if you guys have Rangiku, you will have access to Quincy Ichigo once more. And as a matter of fact, let me say this, I think it's better if you run Rangiku and Quincy Ichigo. Quincy Ichigo for slot 3 and Rangiku for slot 1, obviously. Why? Because guess what? You'll gain access to the Technique Attribute Strong Attack Recharge, making Rangiku get all of her strong attacks back by the time you move to the next map with her, and basically being able to just, you know, get all of your strong attacks out without having to worry to waste them, and get a much faster and more efficient clear time, should you happen to have both of the units. So again, Quincy Ichigo probably might be the better unit to use for slot 3. He's not going to be as strong compared to Ichibei, but goddamn is he very versatile, so that way you can use this character for slot 3. And guess what? The same case that I made for Rangiku about bringing Quincy Ichigo, you guys can do exactly the same thing for slot 2's character, whether you bring Kirio or the likes of Ruruka. Kilgay. Kilgay has the strong attack recharge built into his 6-star abilities, meaning that he is going to help buff Ruruka, and on top of it all, you don't even have to worry about the rules for slot 3 because there are no rules. So this character will actually be working quite efficiently well. And do I have to express myself about this character? I think we all know what this guy can do. He's a rampage character, has frenzy plus 2 80% SP boost. He's literally what Yachido Unohana is, but with the recharge. And that pretty much about does it. Those are the best characters that you can use for slot 3. Now, you can literally use anyone you want as long as it's not power characters, and you can get away with it just fine. And now I think it's time that we go ahead and list out the best potential teams that you guys can use. The team composition that you can go with this month is actually, you know, not that limited. You can go for multiple team combos with those best characters, like slot 1 Rangiku, slot 2 Kirio, slot 3 Ichibei, or you can change up slot 3 and instead of having Ichibei, Quincy Ichigo once again to buff Rangiku. Or if you do not have Rangiku, Quincy Ichigo, Kirio, and Ichibei, once again for the same exact thing. Or if you do not have Kirio but have Ruruka, you can use Quincy Ichigo, Ruruka, and Ichibei, and that will still work. Or, guess what you guys can do to completely have limitless cooldown reduction, Quincy Ichigo, Ruruka, and Kilgay. So, there's just so many ways that you can build up your team. You can even go for Rangiku, Kirio, and Yuha, Quincy Ichigo, Ruruka, and Yuha. It all comes down to how you best build up that team. Of course, if you have, again, Rangiku and Kirio, those are pretty much must-runs for slot 1 and slot 2, but then just use whoever you can. But honestly, this will be my team that I'm going to be bringing for Limit Break Request. Yeah, there you go. I'm going to be bringing Quincy Ichigo for slot 1, Ruruka for slot 2, and Yuha Baha for slot 3. So, yeah, I do not have Kirio, as you guys saw on my account, and I don't know if I'm going to be getting Rangiku by the time I do those discount multis, but if I do get her, I will obviously use her over Quincy Ichigo. But yeah, until then, yeah, I'll see you guys for when I stream, record it. Let's hope that this type of Limit Break Request isn't going to be as tough as when Ruruka came out, because this one, in terms of slot 2 characters, I think it's quite abysmal with the choices that you pretty much have at your disposal. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. If you guys have enjoyed it, don't forget to smash that like button, share this video with your friends and family, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, and hit the bell notification so that way you guys are up to date with my most recent videos. This has been your boy, the Death Smasher, and I hope to see you guys all in the next one. So, have a wonderful day, guys. Peace out. Bye. Sayonara. Shout, shout.